Patriots fans! On the evening of February 5th, 2017, the Patriots trailed the Atlanta Falcons 28-3 with 2 minutes and 12 seconds left in the third quarter. At that moment, the odds of a Patriot loss were 99.6%, and with a deficit of 25 points and 2.5 times greater than any ever overcome in the Super Bowl, what happened next defies logic.
That pregame show defied logic. Cringeworthy television, and things only got worse from there for the Patriots. Hey everyone, welcome to SI Now. I'm Maggie. That is Robin. Happy Friday. And Robin, the Patriots way went out the window in New England's pregame celebration. Patriots piling it on in the pregame, then got smoked by the Kansas City Chiefs, giving up the most points and yards in the Bill Belichick era. Was the over-the-top celebration a bad look for New England?
I don't know if you can really say that, because if I'm a fan of the Patriots, I don't care what people say. I don't even know why they give this whole idea that they're slighted and they're so mad at Roger Goodell. Guys, you win the championship like every year. But if you were to ask me what is the most obnoxious thing you could imagine, it might be Mark Wahlberg introducing the Patriots, followed by House of Pain's Jump Around playing. That is, that would be on the board in Family Feud.
The top 5 answers on the board. Yeah. Patriots pregame, most annoying things ever. The surprising thing to me about this was it just didn't seem like football was the thing. And for the Patriots, football's always the thing. This was more about the comeback over Atlanta in the Super Bowl, which they deserve all the accolades for, but it was more about looking back than looking forward, and it seemed like it was more about sticking it to Goodell. And weirdly, I think the Patriots kind of took their eye off the ball here. And it wasn't all them. I mean, it's not their fault that Barstool Sports had 70,000 towels or T-shirts with Goodell's picture on it with the clown nose. But it did seem like everyone was ready to pile on Goodell, and they lost sight of the football game. And then in the second half, the Kansas City Chiefs just made him pay. I
mean, talk about like a Sophie's Choice dilemma. The Goodell or Patriots fans, who do I side with in this situation? That was the good thing about it is the Chiefs were an option. And the Chiefs took care of business last night. Looking very impressive in the process, by the way. Maybe we've shortchanged them a little bit. Think about all those games they won in a row. Yeah. Then you see the way they played last night. I was very impressed by the wrinkles in their offense and the guys that they put around Alex Smith, who essentially can take accurate long handoffs from him and make something happen.
Yeah, the offense was very unique. I thought the defense was this sort of bend, don't break. They realized their strengths. They were rushing 2, maybe 3 guys at some points because Brady is such a quick release. Figuring out, though, dropping back in coverage, and until Eric Berry got hurt, doing a really good job on Rob Gronkowski.
No doubt about it.
Here was Bill Belichick after the game.
All right, well, we didn't really do much of anything well enough tonight to deserve to win. We gave up 42 points. Stopped on 4 short yardage plays. Got to coach better. Got to practice better. Got to play better. We got a lot of work to do. I mean, that's obvious. So we'll have to get back to work and see if we can improve pretty much everything. Just not good enough.
To go over more of the ramifications of last night's big Chiefs win over the Pats, we're joined from Charlotte by SI NFL writer Jonathan Jones, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. All right, Jonathan, what's more true? The Chiefs are great or the Pats aren't?
Well, I think it would have to be the Chiefs are great. And look, I've really liked the Chiefs since last year. I thought that they were an under-the-radar team until December. I'd watched a lot of Chiefs. Look, here's the thing about the Chiefs. They can score on offense, as we saw last night. They can score on defense with Marcus Peters especially, and Eric Berry, who I know we'll get to in a little bit. And then, of course, they can score on special teams when you have Tyreek Hill and DeAnthony Thomas back there returning kicks and punts. And so I really like the Chiefs. That said, I think the Patriots are still very well positioned. This is not to say that the Patriots are not a great team. I absolutely believe so. But I would tend to side in this situation, the Chiefs are great.
And welcome to the NFL, Kareem Hunt, the third-round pick out of Toledo. He's our adrenaline performer, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Jonathan, is there anything you saw out of Hunt that makes you think he could be one of the best in the league, or was this just a favorable matchup for the rookie?
You know, this was a good matchup for Kareem Hunt. And look, I even tweeted after that fumble, bubble guts, because all you could hear Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth saying was, this kid never fumbled at Toledo, and then he touches the ball and puts it on the deck. I love the way he bounced back. Showing that kind of resiliency says a lot about a player like that. I would compare it to, let's say, at the Senior Bowl, when you have a smaller college player who plays up to his competition, where you have Kareem Hunt. His mental fortitude was there last night, and that says so much about him. Says as much about him as it said about Dak Prescott back in September and October of last season. So is he going to be the greatest running back of all time? Is he going to win the rookie or the rushing record this year? I'll pump the brakes on all of that. But a very good game against a favorable matchup, especially when Dante Hightower went out.
Alex Smith did a really nice job getting Hunt, Hill the ball. Safe to say, barring injury, we won't be seeing Patrick Mahomes for a while?
You know, what I really appreciated about Alex Smith and Andy Reid in the preseason and even in the offseason was they were very upfront. They said, look, this is Alex Smith's team. Did we go get Patrick Mahomes, who has a big arm? Everybody knows that Andy Reid loves quarterbacks with big arms. Is he going to be the future? Yeah, probably. And Alex Smith said, look, this is my team, but I understand the transition. I understand there's going to be a handoff, and it's not necessarily an if, but it's a when. Well, what Andy Reid and Alex Smith both have kind of laid out there, and it was for all of us to see last night, is this is Alex Smith's team in 2017, barring injury, of course. So, we are all very excited about rookie quarterbacks after what we saw with the aforementioned Dak Prescott last season. But ultimately, Alex Smith, as much as Twitter may not seem to like him, as much as he still throws short of the third down sticks, he's still a pretty good quarterback in the NFL.
He's oddly polarizing because we know what he does well, we know what he doesn't do well, and they tend to tailor their game plan around the former. Do you think Andy Reid gets enough credit? Because I can make an argument he's the second best coach in the NFL. He seems to use his personnel well, and I like a lot of what the Chiefs do on offense. A lot of it runs contrary to that traditional football stuff where they're running options, they're getting guys in motion.
Absolutely. And did some of that stuff last night seem a little bit extra? Did they flip the ball to Travis Kelsey, 4 or 5 times when 2 or 3 would have done? Yeah, right. But you have to love what Andy Reid does. I think that Kyle Shanahan, especially coming off last season, has been called by many to be the best play caller in the NFL. Andy Reid last night said, hold on, not so fast. And what he has built in Kansas City, if you go back a couple of years ago, I think they started out 1-4 and then rattled off all those wins to get into the playoffs last season, competing so well in an AFC West and beating the Raiders twice. And now this season, I picked the Chiefs to beat the Patriots last night, in part because Julian Edelman, it's going to take some time for the Patriots to figure out what they're going to do offensively without Julian Edelman. He's not simply a cog in the Patriots machine. He is very important to the Patriots. And so I thought that Andy Reid would be able to find enough offense more than the New England Patriots would without Edelman. Look, I totally agree with you. He may very well be the second best coach in the NFL, and he just beat the best coach in the NFL.
You are being very measured. We're overreacting a little bit, so let's go down that vein a little, because this stat jumped out at us. For the first time in 105 home games, the Patriots lose after taking a lead into the fourth quarter. I mean, that's just incredible. But let's fast forward this, John. I mean, we were talking about them as Super Bowl favorites. Would you still put them there after what you saw last night?
I would. If we're looking at the AFC, I still think Pittsburgh is going to be their stiffest competition when you consider what they have on offense. If they had a healthy Le'Veon Bell in the AFC title game last year, we could be talking about a totally different Super Bowl 51, of course. And so I'm very much looking forward to that AFC title game rematch. That's what I have, not just penciled in, but Sharpied in for January. Are they in trouble? Is this the end of Tom Brady? Is he declining? Look, we said this a couple of years ago, and he came back and did what he did, as we all remember that spanking that they got at the hands of the Chiefs. And then look at 28-3 in Houston. I'm sitting there in the press box and I'm saying there's no way. I'm even saying that there was no way as the Falcons are still up 8, that there's no way. And then, of course, it happens. And so I've been burnt too many times betting against Tom Brady. And even though, yes, he's 40, and even though maybe he needs to eat a little bit more meat, in my opinion, I still think that he is the best quarterback doing it along with Aaron Rodgers, and that they will figure things out once we get a little more separated from the hurt that losing Julian Edelman has been.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what a nightshade vegetable is. I still don't know what it is, but I know Tom Brady doesn't eat them. Chief safety Eric Berry, we know, suffered an injury to his Achilles. What is the long-term impact of this injury?
Yeah, that's crushing. And that's really crushing for the Chiefs because their secondary, I thought, last year was very good. Terrence Mitchell obviously was getting picked on a lot last night, the other corner opposite Marcus Peters. He was getting picked on because Marcus Peters is so good. Tom Brady didn't even want to look his way last night. And so, of course, Tom Brady's going to find the weak link, and that happened to be Terrence Mitchell. But when you have Eric Berry in there, what he was doing on Gronk, as we just saw right there, how he really kind of locked down Gronk. I wouldn't say they were going one-on-one all night, but Gronk was mostly his assignment, and he did very, very well. You have to love and appreciate Eric Berry's story from a personal aspect, and then professionally, how he has bounced back from that to be one of the top safeties in the league. Having that Achilles, and we all saw it last night, and you're hoping against hope that that's not what it is. But if you had the Chiefs in the third quarter saying this could be a Super Bowl team without Eric Berry, I don't know if they're a Super Bowl team.
You know, I believe it was the spanking by the Chiefs a few years ago that led to the on to Cincinnati. And now we're on to New Orleans if you are the New England Patriots. Jonathan Jones. Jonathan, appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate y'all.
Now, many a conversation was had last year about the NFL ratings, what caused the dip, and whether it was an anomaly. But according to early estimates from Awful Announcing's Nielsen reporter, the overnight numbers for last night's game were down 10% from the opener a year ago. Maggie, should this be cause for concern?
I don't think so, because I think between what's happening in Texas with the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, what we think may happen in Florida with Hurricane Irma bearing down on that state, I think there's just other things that other more important things that people are dealing with in this country right now, where football's not going to be in the front of their mind. So I think that's one part. These are Texas and Florida are perhaps the most two football crazy states that we have in this country. And then on top of that, maybe there's a tiny bit of Pats fatigue. I could see that. I can see people just kind of penciling in wins for them. Obviously, the Chiefs flipped the script last night. But I can see people saying, listen, I'll tune in later. I'll tune in Sunday to watch my team, but I'm not so into watching the Pats celebrate their 5th championship.
I don't put too much into the traditional models, actually, because they need to be updated. I mean, look at consumption. It's changing. A show like this exists, right? So that is going to affect everything. The one thing I will say, though, is the NFL was always supposed to be invincible, right? People were talking about last year it was the election, and there's various factors. But before, it was the NFL is king and nothing ever threatens it. For the first time, it feels a little bit vulnerable rather than invincible.
Yeah, and I think that's going to continue, as people see less traditional models of watching sports. I think, trying to gauge where the audience is, I think is going to become tougher and tougher. And I'm not sure what we're going to finally use to know whether or not a sport has landed or hit. I mean, I think it's got to be whether it's trending on Twitter, the streams, and the rating. And you're going to have to put that all together to find out if anyone actually watched.
Speaking of concerns, the Cavaliers wouldn't address any pertaining to Isaiah Thomas's hip. But the team did introduce its new players, including IT, who talked about the experience of being dealt.
It was surprising. It definitely caught me off guard. But it also woke me up. It made me realize that this is a business, and anybody other than probably LeBron James and Kevin Durant and those type of guys can be traded. And I prayed on it. I thought about it. I slept on it, and I'm thankful for this opportunity. I'm blessed to be able to be traded to a situation where realistically we can win a championship next year. Like, I couldn't ask for any better.
We may soon be introduced to a new version of the NBA draft lottery. We know it has been a priority for Adam Silver for a while, but it looks like lottery reform could be coming, with changes reportedly being voted on to possibly be instituted by the 2019 draft, lowering the odds of the worst teams getting top picks and increasing the odds of better teams jumping into the lottery seem like possibilities. Maggie, if you were commissioner, what would your reform be?
my first instinct would be to take something away from the teams that are obviously tanking. Maybe it's a draft pick, but that would be counterintuitive because you want these teams to get better. Maybe it would be fining them. Fine the front office $1 million for teams that are clearly not being competitive. But that doesn't really seem to solve the problem, does it? So I went back and looked through a couple theories that have been floated out by a lot of smart people. And one of them is Andrew Perloff, our colleague here at Sports Illustrated. And I liked what he said. It was, take the bottom 20 teams, so that's the 14 teams that do not make the playoffs, along with the 6, 7, and 8 seeds from both conferences, and flatten the odds for all of them. So that way you're incentivizing teams to make the postseason because they can still have a shot at a really high pick, and it gives mediocre teams a good chance to get better. In the simulations that Andrew ran, the Milwaukee Bucks ended up with the first pick. So that could have been Markelle Fultz going to the Milwaukee Bucks. That's also very intriguing. It would have had the Oklahoma City Thunder having the 4th pick. So maybe they get Jackson. That would have been very cool. So I'll give a hat tip to Andrew Perloff. I thought that was a very unique, and I think it's a system that could work.
I say play for it. Tournament. All the teams that didn't make the playoffs. So 16 teams, single elimination. I guess we workshopped it a little bit this morning. You group the worst 6 teams. They are into an 8-team tournament.
Okay.
Then the other 10 teams play for 2 spots into that 8-team tournament. So in order to win, say if you were the Miami Heat, you would have to have won 5 games. And then to win if you were a team that was in the lottery already or at the bottom like the Lakers, you'd have to win 3 times. How do you incentivize players to do so? I guess you give them a bonus per win as that goes along. So if you figure out a way maybe to give a break right before the playoffs and play this right before the playoffs, come on, you'd be into that.
I'm
Heat
definitely
Lakers
into it.
For the number 1 pick?
I am into it. The problem I see is with timing. You're already seeing the season getting much longer because you want to incentivize coaches to play their stars. So you want to give them more cases of rest, not as many back-to-backs, things like that. So if you're already making the season longer, plus the postseason is already 2.5 months, where do you find an extra 2 weeks to have the worst teams in the NBA play for the best player?
Also, I have to reform my plan on the fly because I said 16 teams, 14 teams,
yeah, 14.
Because 16 teams make the playoffs.
Make the playoffs. That's
the
okay,
math
though.
Doesn't work there.
The math doesn't work, but I like the idea of playing for it. I think is really cool. I just don't think the NBA would cannibalize their own postseason for something like that because, yes, we would all be very interested. And I see what you're saying about you'd have to give guys bonus money because no guy's going to play hard to get a pick that could potentially replace him. Anyway, this story from college football, just absolutely inexcusable. Texas A&M coach Kevin Sumlin's wife, Charlene Sumlin, revealed on Twitter the racist hate mail that Sumlin received after losing to UCLA. Robin, people like this, they are the absolute worst part of sports.
I don't think that needs a qualifier. I mean, I think the absolute worst works there, period, overall. I don't know what to say about this. It's awful. There's nothing really else to say, and it's unfortunate that it seems currently some of this has been emboldened in society. But, that's just way out of bounds, regardless of whether you're talking about sports. Just unacceptable.
And then let's take it a step further. I mean, it's no secret that Kevin Sumlin is on the hot seat. And, obviously losing to UCLA did not make it any better for him. But if I'm now an Aggie fan, I'm feeling very sympathetic towards Kevin Sumlin in this case because I feel like he shouldn't have to be subjected to this just because the team happens to be on a downward slope. And so if I'm also the university, I'm looking and saying, man, I should take my coach off the hot seat. Maybe I should commit to him a little more because this is the trash that he's dealing with away from the field. And I would want to do anything I could to try to make him and his family's life better at this point because he has to deal with this absolute nonsense. And of course, the Aggies are likely safe from Nicholls State, their next opponent. But which college team do you think is ripe for an upset this weekend?
I wouldn't call it a huge upset, but I'll go with Stanford over USC.
Okay.
USC couldn't stop Western Michigan in their opener, right? And Stanford has a much better offense, a much better team than that. Bryce Love looked good taking over for McCaffrey in Stanford's opener against Rice. So give me Stanford over USC. I'm
going to go with Notre Dame over Georgia in my upset because Georgia is starting a true freshman and Jake Fromm on the road. Of course, Jacob Eason was injured in their opener. I like Josh Adams and Dexter Williams running behind the best, perhaps, offensive line in college football. I think that will counter Nick Chubb and, of course, the best name in sports, or one of them, in Sony Michel. I think that Georgia's going to be going down this weekend.
Well, all that talk of best season ever, out the window, I would think, for the Dodgers. Yesterday, the Rockies roughed Clayton Kershaw up, and LA lost its 7th straight and 12 of 13 overall. Does this change how you think about them going into the playoffs?
No. On August 25th, they were on pace for 116 wins. Now they're on pace for 105. That would still be the best since 2001. Their lead in the division is still safe. And yes, the timing is not good, but they still have the most talented roster in Major League Baseball, and they're all bad at the same time right now, but I don't think that will continue. Let's couple it with the schedule. They see the Giants twice, the Phillies, the Padres. They're going to have time to get back on track.
It's not panic time. They're not going to sniff that record, obviously, but there are a lot of really good teams this year. If you look at the Dodgers, you look at the Nationals. In the American League, you have the Red Sox. The Yankees are both good. The Astros, of course. So it does feel like there are a bunch of different teams you could sort of put in a hat or maybe spin a wheel to make your World Series pick with, as I just mentioned, some of the ones that might wind up on that wheel. Spinning a wheel is exactly what last year's top overall pick in the WNBA draft, Kelsey Plum, did with me when we went through a series of questions and contests. I'm here with Kelsey Plum, of course, NCAA all-time leading scorer, #1 pick in the WNBA draft, member of the San Antonio Stars, and we're going to play a little game with this wheel. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Uh-oh. We need to add in the dramatic music in post. Better chance of happening. You appearing on the Ball Family reality show. Bobby Wagner, Seahawks linebacker, who you had a spat with on Twitter, beating you in a game of one-on-one, or somebody breaking your NCAA scoring record?
I'm going to go with the third one, just because there's no way I'd ever let Bobby beat me. There's definitely no way I'd ever be on the Ball Family show, so I'd have to go with the third one.
So you're more humble than LeVar Ball, you'd say?
I think anyone's more humble than LeVar Ball.
One-on-one, I'm undefeated, never lost.
All right, let's give it another spin.
Okay.
Where are we landing here? All right, thumb war. Me and
Thumb
you.
war?
Thumb war, yeah. How do you do that?
Lefty.
Lefty?
Lefty.
Oh, man, I'm toast. All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
4. Give me that. Give me that.
My thumb, it's opposable. It separates me from beast.
Count it!
I lost, legitimate loss that time. Good, I was vanquished. Next spin. We know you guys are friends. Tell us something about Markelle Fultz people don't know.
He just bought a house. I was on FaceTime with him. He's moving in, getting his furniture right. What people don't know about him, he is really low key. Like, we would go to the store, and he was even talking about with him and Joelle, when they go out, no one recognizes him. I just think that's funny because, you know, he's the #1 pick and he's big time, but he goes really low under the radar.
Let's go to the superlatives, and we'll run through basketball player, all-around basketball player superlatives. Best basketball player in the world.
Best basketball player all around. I'd have to say LeBron James.
Most likely to cross you over.
Most likely to cross me over, Kyrie Irving.
So we go with LeBron and Kyrie. Look, we got some synergy with the off-season storylines. Most fashionable.
Most fashionable. In the WNBA, I think Gabby Pondexter. I think in the NBA, I'd have to give it to Russell Westbrook.
Best leader/spokesperson for basketball.
On the women's side, I would have to say Sue Bird. But on the men's side, I would say Steph.
There you go. And finally, some thoughts on your first WNBA season. How did it go? How do you feel you can get better for next year?
You know, it was tough. The transition was difficult. I got injured at the beginning of the year, but you know, for me, it was a great experience, and I think that taking that into this off season.
Which people don't realize how many, you were telling me before, about 90% you would estimate of the league plays a second season. You're going over to Turkey to play in the quote-unquote off season. Yeah,
we do. It's an opportunity to make money, get better, see different parts of the world, and it's cool. You get to experience, you know, different foods and stuff like that, and have cool teammates, you know, from different parts of the world. But I'm excited about it, and like you said, it's a chance to get better. I have a lot of things to get better at, so hopefully we'll see a change by next year.
It's time for SI Now's Weekend Drive presented by Toyota. Let's go places. It's finally here. Week 1 of the NFL season kicks off this weekend. First, we'll take you to Nashville, where the Titans will host the Raiders. Oakland running back Marshawn Lynch will make his debut for the Silver and Black after coming out of retirement. Lynch says he wanted to play for the team he idoled before they leave Oakland for Las Vegas.
With me being from here and, you know, continuing to be here. It gives them an opportunity that, they get to see somebody that actually did it from where they're from and for the team that they probably idolize.
Lynch last played the Titans in 2013 as a member of the Seahawks. He ran for 77 yards on 21 attempts with 2 touchdowns. Next, we'll travel north to Green Bay to see the Packers take on the Seahawks. Home field has been a key factor between these two teams. The home team has won the last 5 matchups. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers hopes the fans can get the stadium rocking for this battle.
I do. I mean, I think it gives us the opportunity to start off the season right against a great opponent and our home crowd, and hopefully they get it rocking, as loud as they want to be on Sunday. It's going to help our defense out.
Rodgers has tossed 6 touchdowns when facing the Seahawks in Lambeau and has yet to throw an interception. Lastly, we head to Dallas for an NFC East showdown between the Cowboys and the Giants. Last season, Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott earned a playoff berth and Rookie of the Year honors. However, the one box he could not check, defeating the New York Giants. Sunday, he'll be able to take them on at full force after finding out running back Ezekiel Elliott will be by his side for Week 1.
Last year was a taste of what we can be, and just how great he is and how talented he is, and it opens up so much in the pass game and our flashing game, so it'll be good.
Despite dropping both games last year, the Cowboys clinched the division at 13-3. However, with the toughest schedule in the NFL in 2017, the Cowboys can't afford to do that again. And that's what's in store for this weekend. And that's going to do it for us on this Friday edition of SI Now. Of course, you can stick to SI.com for all the latest news, the headlines. I'm sure there'll be a lot this weekend. You can follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live. We'll be posting clips from the show right there. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you Monday.
Is it over for the Patriots? Are they done?
Sure, why not?